We're working behind the scene for us to have a smooth broadcast. Again, we do sincerely apologize for that. You're still on to Voice of the People 90.3 FM, and the shows is Matters. Normally on Thursdays we do a new Nigeria debate, the political show that ushers you to 2027 general election. But we had to do a slight schedule adjustment because tomorrow is June 12th, Democracy Day. I will have a special program for you from 12 to 3. So we thought it was better for us to do Matters today, after which we go Political and Governance tomorrow. So join me, Chioma Innocent and Esther Nwachukwu for our June 12th Democracy Day special show coming up from 12 to 3. So for now, it is Matters. What are we talking about today? Now the World Cup kicks off today, Thursday, with co-host Mexico taking on South Africa in the Estadio Azteca in Mexico, launching a sprawling tournament of 48 teams that will last nearly 6 weeks. The extravaganza, hosted by the United States, Mexico and Canada, is the biggest World Cup in history, stretching onto the final in New Jersey on July 19. It is projected to generate a record-breaking $13 billion in total revenue, but football's world governing body FIFA has faced stinging criticism over the eye-watering cost of tickets, while Donald Trump's immigration crackdown has seen a top referee, Iranian team officials and fans refused entry to the United States. Well, these are already looking like a World Cup of chaos. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be taking a look at the footballing side of things, and we're going to be taking a look at the political side of it that has caused chaos ahead of the 2026 World Cup. You can call me Solo, you can call me Mr. Solo, you can call me Souls, you can call me Mr. Souls, but officially I am Solomon Ofem. Welcome to Matters. Once again, if you're just tuning in, this is Matters on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. Okay, if you're just tuning in, this is Matters on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. What are we talking about? Now, UN rights chief Volker Turk urged the United States to reconsider its immigration practices for the Football World Cup after fans, a top referee, and team officials found themselves barred from the tournament. A record 48 teams and millions of fans are descending on the United States, Canada, and Mexico for the first World Cup co-hosted by 3 nations and the largest and most logistically complex ever state. But the refusal of U.S. immigration authorities to allow Somali referee Omar Atam, one of Africa's leading match officials, into the country, underlined fears that U.S. President Donald Trump's immigration policy could leave deep scars on the tournament. Now, joining me to help analyze these, I have 2 guests. First, talking to us from Abuja via phone call is Achike Chude, international affairs commentator, author, and national secretary of the Nigerian Union of Journalists. Mr. Chude, thank you very much for joining us on Matters today.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
And in the studio, I have a sport analyst, Ikechukwu Agwuagwu. Mr. Agwuagwu, thank you very much for joining us today. It's good to have you here. This is not exactly a conventional sports show, but it is good to see you. Okay,
good afternoon, Solomon.
Let me start with you, sir. The World Cup is some would argue is the biggest sporting event in the world. For years it was the Olympic, but following social media viewership and fans, statistics shows it is the biggest sporting world in football. It's for a while, World Cup has been treated with controversies, especially the last 2 World Cup been hosted by a non-democratic country. So it's been dogged with controversies, human rights, non-LGBTQ friendly country, and fans have been battling with FIFA that why is FIFA not taking a stand on certain things. Now, this World Cup was supposed to be devoid of all those controversies, but unfortunately, I'm sure FIFA didn't know Donald Trump will be the president of the US at the time the country is hosting the World Cup. But to say it's been chaotic, it's an understatement, to say the least. Well, what's your take on this situation before we go into the other nitty-gritty of the situation?
Yeah, I think you started by saying that some of the last 2 World Cups have been embroiled in, at least the very last one was in
Qatar,
and over LGBTQ issues. But we must remember that states
and human rights issues generally.
Yeah, human rights. Yeah, but that states also have rights. Over their people. They also have rights, and they also make domestic laws for the good governance of their state. So,
but still, there were some concessions made on both sides of the party.
No. Yes, I'm going there. So the LGBTQ thing is something that was important to the government and people of Qatar. It's just like the same way that the international community has been putting pressure on African countries with regards to LGBTQ rights and the rest. And African, leaders, political leaders are saying, we also have our way of doing things, we also have our values. You cannot impose your values on us in the name of human rights and all that. So this is important, even though in some areas some concessions were made here and there. Yeah. So in the same light, in the same way, I agree about the controversy that is trailing this, that is dogging this particular program. I mean, the World Cup in the United States, and it's unfortunate. Because the United States is one major, the World Cup is one major arena for the international diplomacy.
Yes.
And then I believe that America is missing a very good opportunity to sell itself once more to the world, especially in the midst of the controversy mostly associated with immigration issues. We know that President Donald Trump was elected on the basis of some of the promises he was making about immigration, the need to curb immigration.
Yeah.
Now, people are not saying don't fight immigration, but that it must be done consistently
properly,
with respect to human rights and all that.
Yes.
And there have been a few violations which they themselves reluctantly acknowledge that are also happening. Now, it is not good. It's unprecedented what's happening with the World Cup. So, and I don't want to believe that the that the FIFA itself, likely people are criticizing them. I don't want to believe that they've never had any form of negotiation with the United States. Yes, we cannot deny the United States the right to also vet people that are coming to that country, because first of all, it's about national security. But the way you go about doing it, I think, is critical. I don't want to do it so late in the day, a few days to the World Cup, a top-class, referee. You are saying that it's not going to get into your country.
Yeah.
I think that this issue should have been settled long before now, and it's unfortunate that it is happening in this manner. It is not right. It is not proper. Even Muammar Gaddafi, at a time that he was considered enfant terrible, as the French would say. And not just Muammar Gaddafi, other international leaders who are also seen to be dictatorial and all that, also are allowed to come to the United Nations to discuss issues in New York, the headquarters of the United Nations. So I don't think that this has gone down well. I'm not sure that the American government has done this properly. But like I said, we will not take away their right to also vet the kind of people that come into America. Don't also forget that they have to be extra cautious, because all it takes is just one bomb, one suicide bombing, and then the whole World Cup, we collapse completely. And it has never happened in South Africa. When South Africa held the World Cup, people were all kinds of stories about insecurity and the rest, but it came and went, and we didn't have any untoward incidents.
Yes. So, Ikechukwu, I will still come to you. Let me stay with Mr. Chude. Now, when FIFA President Gianni Infantino gave Donald Trump the Peace Prize, after the president, the US president went on tirade about not giving the Nobel Peace Prize. Of course, there were a lot of criticism from the football community, but there were few people, I included, that felt this was a smart move, because at this point in time, we know the kind of person Donald Trump is, and if giving Donald Trump that peace prize will help smooth relationship, at least they say be a fool until you get what you want. If giving Donald Trump a peace prize to smooth the relationship between him and the president, at least, if not for anything, to make this World Cup a smooth one, I felt it was a smart move. But with all what is going on, and with the press briefing the FIFA president had yesterday, where a lot of questions about this issue were asked to him, and he had really had no answer for any of that, one began to wonder, was there no backroom conversation? Because, for all the flaws about Donald Trump, one thing is sure, that man loves making deals. There was a book, The Art of Making Deal, by him. So one would have been wondering what went on behind the scene. What was that peace prize for? Why aren't you leveraging any kind of relationship with the president to make this World Cup a smooth one?
Yeah, you are right. And your observation is very apt, and you're absolutely right. One would have thought that even that peace prize they gave him would smoothen the relationship and make it easier for them. But you're talking about cantankerous person. Trump is cantankerous, unpredictable,
very impulsive and unpredictable. Yes,
sometimes very impulsive. I think that's the word. You understand? And so it's not easy. And don't forget that Europe has been negotiating with Trump. And Trump has a way of getting on people's skin. So it's not a very easy situation for Gianni Infantino. America is a very powerful country, and the power of America was shown, when the FBI decided to go against Blatter. Blatter was almost untouchable, and he was there for years, and people thought that he might just go there and maybe die in
the office as.
But when he had that issue and the FBI. And the FBI moved that, against him. It was a done deal. He was gone. And so, perhaps there were backroom discussions. We cannot say. Perhaps there are backroom discussions, but again, Trump is Trump. Trump decides on what he should do, and then he does it. So maybe the backroom talk, this prize given to him, obviously did not work. But like I said, this was done badly, and there's no way the FIFA executive, especially the president of FIFA, will not take the heat, and he's already taking the heat. Regardless of what he has done, but he can't come out, and come and tell us what they discussed in the back room. Only Trump will have a discussion in the back room and come and tell the whole world. But that is his style. But again, he's the president of the United States.
Okay.
So I think that these are part of, but it's embarrassing. It is not at the very best.
It is.
Yeah.
Let me come to you, Ikechukwu, sport analyst. Let's take a look at the footballing side. This has been chaotic. This was supposed to be the biggest World Cup in history. 48 teams, 3 countries co-hosting at the same time. There was a FIFA pitch excitement. A lot of countries that otherwise wouldn't have had the opportunity to qualify for the World Cup were able to qualify for the World Cup because of the expanded version of it. And so many big stars in world football. This will be their first World Cup. I mean, even the Somali referee, the best referee in Africa, this would have been his first World Cup, and it would have been a pleasure for him to represent Africa as the best referee in according to CAF, and obviously stamped by FIFA, and to bring that knowledge of African football to bear at the biggest world stage. But the chaos outside the scene, how do you think it will affect the on-field performance or performances?
Well, you have to look at the mindset of the fans, people who follow football. For the fans of football, it's really let the game just start. Every other thing takes backseat. I recall before 2022 Qatar World Cup, when they said the World Cup will be staged in November, December, like November, December. It's absurd. That means players will have to actually leave, club assignment mid-season and then go to the World Cup and then come back. How are they even going to cope with it? These were the conversations before the tournament. And Qatar is a country where, you don't have to do this. They have this sort of extreme rule. They are not democratic, blah, 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 blah. These were the headlines. These are the conversations that actually dominated it. But then when the World Cup kicked off, every single conversation took backseat until the end of the World Cup. And that's exactly how it's going to happen when this one happens.
But don't you think this will be a lot, like, as I said, Qatar made some concessions despite that. Don't forget, one of the things about the Gulf countries, no drinking in public, but they made special concessions about that. Okay, so which the US is not making. Now,
no, they actually
now, some fans, but very few, decided to boycott the Qatar World Cup. But this is not the situation in the US. Of course, this is US. Everybody wants to go, but visa denials and stuff like that is already hampering a lot. And let's not even talk about the huge amount of ticket prices. I mean, $30,000 for some ticket. And US is not exactly a big footballing country.
Okay.
So you'd have said, okay, for overseas fans that will not come in, the home fans should be able to make up for some of this. But US, they are good in every other sport besides football. So aren't you expected to see lot of empty? I mean, the same thing happened at the Club World Cup. A lot of empty, stadium. Won't that affect? Because the fans, the atmosphere also helping galvanizing these players. Don't you think that would affect the energy level of the football? At the end of the day, affect the players.
So for the Club World Cup, that's actually very different. It's quite very new. So the arrangement is new, and that's exactly why the stadiums were a little scanty in this tournament. But of course, next one is going to be quite different. I assure you that. That's exactly how fans respond to.
The reason why the US hosted that Club World Cup was a kind of a taste of what the World Cup is going to be. But this is falling flat on its feet.
No, it's actually not falling flat. See, what's happening in the US, right? I think a lot of persons are actually just looking at, the footballing issue from the US perspective. For the US, one, they are the global watchdog. Two, they have, this fear of so many enemies and wanting to use this particular moment, because a lot of tourists will be visiting the country as an entry point to actually attack the country. Now, let's look at, many persons actually felt the Cold War ended in 91, but for the US, it's still very much on. And every single nations that were part of, the Russian side in the Cold War, the USSR side in the Cold War, would definitely be a perpetual enemy to the US. Now, the issue of Iran, we can actually understand that the America and Iran are actually at war at this point. That's exactly why
we understand the Iran part, but what about the other countries?
We are coming there. With Iran, Iraq, and now let's even deal with the African referee, because that's exactly the center of the conversation now as we speak. Because a person is asking, he's actually just a normal human being. Why is he being sent back? The thing is, this guy, according to US report about him, was that he is a sympathizer of the terrorist organization.
But one thing that's been very consistent with the Donald Trump administration is they make accusations without proof.
So let's ask ourselves.
For now, the US have not made that. But for those of us following the US politics, we know Somalia is on the blacklist of the President Donald Trump.
So, America, not Donald Trump.
It's not America.
It's America.
There is America and there is Donald Trump.
It's America.
Okay.
It's America. Let me tell you. Okay. Right. Before the war broke out in 91 in Somalia. Right. That was very much the end of the supposed end of the Cold War. Right. American government was funding the dictator in power at the time, Mohammed Siad Barre.
We know the history. Right? We don't have to.
The whole breakdown was that. Now they have several factions running Somalia as a country, right? Now, these factions against the government that is recognized internationally in Mogadishu. One of the factions is supposed to be the person or the group that this referee is actually. Now, the question we should be asking ourselves is, how did CAF, because CAF is here to make a statement, how did CAF miss this and then it gets to a global stage? If CAF refused to make a statement, it means CAF is also saying that what the US said is true. And then we are waiting to see if this referee will be able to actually officiate in the Nations Cup. Okay. Until CAF officiate makes a statement and say, you know what, this claim by the US is actually not true. Whatever the US have said now is true. Because
we both know Gianni Infantino will not do that.
No, CAF. I'm talking about Patrick Musefe, the Confederation of African Football.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
They're supposed to make a statement because what America is doing at this point, right? You want to call it, a dominance display and status signaling. That's exactly what big guns do at the geopolitical level. That's exactly what America just did. And if either CAF, right, or African referee board fails to step up and say, you know what, this guy is actually this or not, that particular hook will be on him. And what that is going to also translate into African football is that a lot of persons will not want to see that guy officiate the game, because nobody wants to actually associate himself with the terrorist. That's a terrorist sympathizer. That's the big problem.
Now, here's the thing. But let me come back to you, Mr. Chude. What's your take on this situation? The atmosphere in the football stadium.
The atmosphere.
Yes. Do you think this will? Do you think this would affect the? I mean,
no, it will not. Once the football starts, a different emotion takes over. People are not going to be bothered. The people in the stadium are not going to be bothered with the politics.
But the fans that are supposed to enjoy this game, a lot of them have been denied visas. And US, just like I was telling him, the US aren't exactly a football country. We don't expect a lot of fans there. It is the international fans that now from what I understand on the background, FIFA is trying to introduce US into what European football is all about.
No, the US also said the World Cup in '94. It's not the first World Cup they're hosting. They've always been in the center of football. Yes. The great Pelé actually played in America.
We know that.
Messi played in America.
But you and I know in northern football, US is at the bottom of the pot in football as far as football is concerned.
Let me say something. One thing we should know. Yes, I agree that, but let us even wait to see. I'm not watching what's going on now, so I don't know about the attendance at the stadium or whatever.
Lots of fans have been complaining about. I mean, one, the price tickets, two, the fact that they can't get visa to the US.
Yeah, but has it gone up? I think it might be too early to rule out spectator attendance, even if some international people are not.
The match is starting today.
But if the cost of the ticket, if the ticket is now more expensive, it says a lot about demand. People want to go. That's exactly why the ticket is expensive.
Yeah, no, that's implication. That's implication,
yes.
And then again, the issue. Yes, we understand. Like I said, we understand the importance of football. It's the single most popular sport in the world. But again, I think it's about blending, national security concerns with the need to have a successful World Cup.
Yes.
And I think that somehow that is where, they missed the plot. Either the American government and the FIFA, they were not able to come to a proper accommodation with regards to what needed to be done when these things needed to be done, and that's why we are having this Russia situation.
Sorry to cut you short, sir, because this is not the first time we have it. If I remember correctly, this same situation where the UK was supposed to host was it the Under-20 World Cup, and the UK wanted to ban North Korea from participating in the World Cup, and FIFA put their foot down. And said they either do that or the World Cup, the hosting of the World Cup will be taken away from. FIFA basically threatened the UK government.
Okay, but don't forget that America wanted to do the same thing with Iran. Is Iran not participating in the World Cup?
Well, they are going through Mexico. They originally didn't have anything to do with Mexico.
I agree, but that's why they found accommodation somehow, so that the Iranians can also participate in that process.
Okay.
Look, this is not a perfect situation in terms of the arrangements. It's not tidy. None of us is saying that it's tidy. But at the same time, don't also forget that America is in an unprecedented situation where maybe under the Trump administration, many more people are not happy with the United States. The Venezuelans, for instance, people in Venezuela might have a reason to want to launch an attack in America because of America's interference in Venezuela. Many Iranians most certainly would be in a position, might also want to find themselves in that position to also cause some damage to America's image. You understand? So what it means is that there has to be a heightened state of security in America. And that means that they also have to go out of their way to do something that under normal circumstances they might not have wanted to do, because America now right now has more enemies. There are people that might also not be happy with what
is there any time at the point since after World Cup, after World War II rather, that America didn't have a lot of enemy? I mean, they've basically been the police of the world.
Good, but I said heightened. I deliberately used the word heightened because of the events of the past. What America has done in Europe, for instance, with regards to NATO, is unprecedented. It has not been done by any American president.
True.
What has happened or what is happening with Iran is unprecedented. It has not happened under any American president. What has happened in the Middle East with regards to Hamas, Israel, Lebanon, Hezbollah, and then the Houthis in Yemen is unprecedented. Has not happened in American history. So it's an unprecedented situation, and it's an unusual times. And unusual times call for unusual, action. In as much as one understands Trump's temperament and the rest. But like you said, and I agree with Ikechukwu on the other side of the line, when you're trying to say maybe the Trump, it's about America, it's about the American government. So whoever is occupying the White House,
Trump is the American government at this time, because the kind of power
you cannot separate Trump from the American administration. It's the American government, whether Trump is the president or not. So tomorrow somebody comes in too, it is the American government. He's acting on behalf of the American government and the American people. People might not like what he's doing, but we must not forget that the people elected him. They elected him. So and then if they are not happy with him, he's lucky that he's not going for a third term. Because if they are not happy with what he's doing, maybe during a third term run, they might have stopped him. They would have stopped him. But the reality is that yes, abuses about the immigration issue and so on. But America was also in an unprecedented situation where about 10,000, 20,000 people are massed at the American border at the same time. All manners of people coming to America, until he came in and he was able to stop it. And he stopped it successfully. How he did it is a different thing. But there was a lot of accuse even before he became president. It was on that basis that he rose to power as president of the United States. Because people saw the abuse at the border by the Biden administration and all that. Unprecedented. Over 12 million people came in a space of four years. I don't know in which country of the world that has ever happened. So maybe to speak positively about Trump, but then the way they have gone about it has created all kinds of issues, and the way they've gone about this World Cup has also created, it could have been handled better. That's just what I'm saying. It was not tidy, it was not properly well done, and that's why there's all this backlash against America, and to some extent, maybe they deserve it, to some extent, but we cannot run away from the fact that they have a right to protect their country.
Now, Ikechukwu, fans from several countries, including Morocco and Scotland, they've already spent thousands of dollars on flights, hotel, and tickets for the most expensive World Cup in history. They've all reported having their travel document denied or revoked, and the World Cup is starting. Now, sports journalists also went to hotels in the different cities where the World Cup have hosted, and obviously it came from complaints from these hotel owners, where they've complained that FIFA has disappointed them. That they had certain expectations in terms of hotel accommodations and the kind of money. Obviously, tourism from World Cup, the kind of money they were expected to get, but they're not coming. A lot of the hotels are empty. I saw a documentary where they were meeting a lot of these hotels. So it's on that premise that rightly so, a lot of football fans are skeptical, because if you check a lot of media, they're already calling it a World Cup of chaos. Do you still think, with these disappointed fans and all that, it won't cause morale to be down on the players?
See, the football is actually, even before the World Cup is played now, this World Cup is already built to be the most expensive. This World Cup is already built to be the World Cup that will generate the most revenue, even before it starts, right?
Yes.
So it says a lot about, from FIFA's end, what they are already making, and of course, what we expect
$13 billion in a total
now,
revenue.
that's in the US, right? But then in cities like Mexico and, of course, in Canada, the situation is quite different. America is in a very difficult situation right now, like, Mr. Chude rightly said. The truth is, when the World Cup starts, I'll tell you for free, stadiums will be full.
Where will the fans come from? American
there are a lot of fans already in America. Not everyone will go in because of the strict immigration rule, because of the issue that are actually having. If your visa have issues, America wants fans to come, but they don't want everybody to come. Not just everybody will come. Right. So when the World Cup starts, it's going to start today, right? It's going to definitely start in Mexico. So when America plays the first game, or when they play the very first game in the US soil, you get to see that there will be a lot of fans in the stadium. It's the World Cup. There are a lot of persons who will definitely be part of it.
And at the end of the World Cup, the winner, whoever the winner emerges, don't you think the World Cup will be a little tainted? It's more like what's going on with CAF, AFCON. No, not the referee. AFCON, Senegal, Morocco issue. The Senegal Morocco issue. The two countries are already feeling very weird about the whole trophy.
Let me take your mind back to '86. Before Mexico hosted the World Cup in 1986, there was massive earthquake. A lot of persons even expected the World Cup not to hold. But then it went on to be arguably one of the greatest World Cup we've ever seen, because of Maradona's brilliance in that World Cup.
Yes.
Just one moment of brilliance in this World Cup, and every single conversation will be put behind. And that's exactly the beauty of World Cup. That's exactly what football brings. Just one moment, and it dominates the headline of the entire competition. Nobody remembered there was a serious earthquake in Mexico before the World Cup. So these things happen, right? Let the World Cup start. You get to see. And for the Senegal and Morocco incident, FIFA already made an adjustment to the rule that anything that walks off the field as a protest, officially you forfeited it. So regardless of what the IFBA rule says, regardless of whatever it is, FIFA has already made a statement.
Don't forget, there's another rule that the referee's call in the call is the final. The referee made the decision that this player should come in, and the match continued.
That's exactly what the IFBA be a rule, right? Article 82 said. But then, even in that particular rule, it also stated that the referees document whatever it is you relate to match of the match committee, that this is exactly what happens. And what the referee wrote in that Senegal Morocco game was that following this game there were infringement and the appropriate punishment should be meted. It is not the place of the referee to issue punishment. It's in the place of the governing body to issue punishment. Yes. And exactly what CAF definitely did. And
punishments were issued. Exactly. Funds were fined.
So because of that, right? Taking cognizance from that, FIFA, has taken a ground or a stand now that whichever team step out as a protest, officially you forfeited the game. So regardless of whatever it is, even if the referee asks you to come back or not, it doesn't change anything. The rule is the rule now. You've ended the game. So that's what it is.
But we're not talking about CAF now. We're talking about the World Cup. Mr. Chude, as you said, hello, can you hear me, sir? Are you there, sir? Hello, sir. Looks like we've lost connection with him. Let's try to see if we can re-establish connection with him. You're still on to Matters on Voice of the People 90.3 FM, and we're talking about the World Cup. The United States government has faced sharp criticisms from immigration and human rights experts due to the ongoing visa-related complications and entry denials for athletes and officials participating at the FIFA World Cup. The censure of U.S. President Donald Trump's administration grew after top Somali football referee Omar Atam, who was set to officiate at the World Cup game, was denied entry into the country this week. And this is what we're talking about. We're taking a look at the footballing side, and we're taking a look at the politics side. Hello, sir. Welcome back.
Yes. Thank you.
So over the years, FIFA have tried to separate politics from football, and they've done several pushback, to that situation by banning political statements, like, let's focus on the football. But is it possible to separate football from politics? Because it's been going hand in hand for years.
No, you can only do that to an extent. You cannot 100% separate politics from football, because football itself could be used to further political ends.
Yes.
Don't forget, for instance, when Abacha was in power, when Abacha was in power and the country's image was in the gutters, it was the victory of the Super Eagles at the Nations Cup that gave much needed, diplomatic victory to the Abacha
regime
administration. So they lapped it up. They took, responsibility, and then they took part of the glory for the victory.
I mean, the term for that now is sport washing.
Sorry?
I said the term for that now is sport washing.
But that's what you do. That's what you do, because athletes over the years have tended to bring a lot of positive news and some dividends, more or less, to a country's image, battered image.
I mean, Qatar is a typical example.
You can see,
and Saudi Arabia is doing the same thing now.
Yeah, of course. You can see that's why a lot of these countries, Saudi Arabia, Canada, and so on, are also stealing athletes from other countries, less endowed countries that are not exactly taking care of their athletes. Because they are deriving, and the victories that they earn do not go to the original country of these athletes. It goes to these other countries that they have adopted. So we cannot 100% remove politics. And don't also forget that even people try to bring politics into sports, because when the World Cup was to take place in Qatar, a lot of people, human rights organizations, all these radical liberal movements, we are trying to talk about Qatar's
human rights,
and then the LGBTQ issue and the rest. And it was even FIFA that stepped in and said they are not going to tolerate that. That Qatar has a right, to its own laws and all that. So they try to play it down to some extent. So everybody, and then in South Africa, the same thing. They try to blackmail the South African government and Africans that Africa is a very violent place, South Africa is a very violent place, and all that. tried to take advantage of that situation to denigrate South Africa and Africa. And then there was a pushback from African countries. And eventually it held. And FIFA also stood their ground. So these things happen from time to time. Of course it is not right. There are times, and FIFA has always pushed back. But sometimes, over this particular matter, when it comes to what America defines as a security, and just like you said, you are trying to say that, Trump makes this accusation without evidence and the rest. Sometimes these are national security issues, and they don't owe anybody any apology if they don't come out in the open to say, look, the reason why we banned this person to come into America at this time, and the reason is security, then we say, okay, provide the reason. You cannot provide, when the CIA has done its job, or the FBI, it might be a lie. You understand? But it is not for us to say they are telling lies, because, they say that they banned them for security reasons, and we say, okay, show us evidence. You don't show evidence when it comes to such things. They have a right. So it's unfortunate sometimes when people bring unnecessary politics into it, but we can never remove politics, because, from sports, occasionally it does happen that, look at Jesse Owens, during even Hitler's time. Hitler had made some denigrating remarks about black people, that they don't have ability, they are not capable, they cannot achieve anything. And he went in there and was, I think, the only athlete, the black, it wasn't Jesse Owens. I think it's Jesse Owens. And he was the only athlete that achieved more than any other white person achieved. He had about 3 or 4 medals in one single Olympic event. Now, that was, he made a political statement with that. Even though it's a political statement, but it was also a cultural statement. It was also a statement that had to do with the fact that the black people, I cannot take second best, because the blacks also have an ability, have abilities to be the best, even in sports.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chude. It's always a pleasure talking to you. It's been a while, so it's good to reconnect with you again. Thank you very much, sir, for your time.
It's also been a pleasure. Thank you for having me. And Ikechukwu, it's been a pleasure having you too.
It's been a pleasure listening to you too.
All right.
That's Achike Chude, international affairs commentator and author and national secretary of the Nigerian Union of Journalists. Let me stay with you for a moment before we go, Ikechukwu. Who do you, there are several contenders for this World Cup. Give us your top 3, and who do you think will have, top 5, and who do you think would eventually take the whole prize from your sport estimate?
Okay, so for balance of squad, it's Portugal. For the most dangerous team is France.
France do have lots of stars. They are stacked from the first 11 to second 11. It must be a headache for the coach to choose who eventually take the field.
For the most the team that looks like a champion that no one seems to want to respect is Spain, and then for experience going into this particular tournament is Argentina. And then for a team, a lot of persons have been hoping they will finally end their 60-year wait is England. So, but then for the ultimate, looking at how they've actually conducted themselves in the last couple of years, I think the title most likely will be tilting towards Spain. They might actually be the one to pick it up this time around.
They are in a row.
They are the European champions, so most likely,
most likely
they'll just go all the way to actually pick it up. For the rest of the team, maybe Argentina also have a very good chance to retain the trophy. For
but some have said a lot of aged players, there might be a hindrance. Experience, yes, but age, and they've won the World Cup. That momentum may no longer be there.
Yes, because no team since Pele's 1970 have done it back to back. So again, Messi's a player who is he's maybe in his last days where he's going to do these sort of things. He won his trophies after he turned 30. So maybe he might just be the next person to do it with his national team again. But for Portugal, the only problem I see there might just be ego clash in the dressing room. They've got a very good squad,
and then especially the midfield.
Yes, and then for France as well, it's also going to be a very difficult campaign for the coach. He had a very serious issue with Kylian Mbappe before it was resolved by French Football Federation. So maybe if they can actually be able to, if he can actually assert his dominance, and then the guys look up to him, and then say, okay, let's go. And I think they've got the squad to do it. England is one team that a lot of people might be looking at them. Okay, these guys are perennial underachievers.
They may be a good dark horse.
Yes, but then they might just spring that surprise time around, because they have a lot of players that are hungry going to this particular tournament,
including Harry Kane. Harry Kane is probably the best number 9 right now in the world.
Yes, arguably the best number 9 days. In this tournament. So, but then hopefully they might just earn their own weights this time around. And then for that Spanish side, a lot of persons just look at them. They are quite very good. I mean, European champion.
The cohesion is top notch.
They've got arguably the best, young
players.
Anchorman, and of course, Lamine Yamal is also there. So they have players that can actually pick it up. Not to also forget, I just left this one apart. Brazil. I mean, Carlo Ancelotti. He's a man who knows how to win big tournaments. But the problem with
he has a good head on his shoulder as far as coaching is concerned. But the Brazilian national team...
Another thing that will work against him is that no team has won the World Cup with a foreign coach. So, again, it has to be a national team coach. Maybe they actually might be the one to end it. Portugal is also going to the World Cup with a foreign coach. England is also going to the World Cup with a foreign coach. So that exactly leaves us with Argentina and France.
Okay, Ikechukwu, Agwuagwu, thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to you. Well, today we had to mix politics and sport. Enough of the politics and insecurity. It is so depressing sometimes. So well, it is our job to bring the news as it is right now. So which makes today a very, very good day for us to talk about this, because I mean the World Cup starts today. Mexico versus South Africa. The
first kickoff match.
Yeah, the opener. Who do you think will win?
A lot of Nigerians and Africans are actually rooting for Mexico because of the xenophobia.
Yeah.
But then football doesn't play that way.
But Mexico is a good football.
Yeah, Mexico is a good football nation.
I mean, in the Northern America, Mexico has a better pedigree in terms of football.
Interestingly, 16 years ago, these guys were actually the one that opened the 2010 South African World Cup. It was a 1-1 draw in that particular one. Now, right there at the Azteca Stadium, it's going to be full to the brim. I don't think South Africa will be able to withhold the pressure that will be coming from the fans
the home team.
The home team. So maybe it's going to be slim victory. Mexico might just pick it, maybe 2-1 or 2-0.
And South Africa is not exactly a football country as far as Africa is concerned. I mean, in Africa, football is in West and North.
Yeah, apart from their league, national team, they're very much way behind.
Yeah, way behind. Again, Ikechukwu, thank you very much for your time. Well, it is time for us to go. Thank you very much for your contribution. So, yeah, that's what we do today. Today on Matters. On Matters, we talk everything: business, entertainment, sports, politics, insecurity. As far as it is making the news, we will be here to analyze it. Again, don't forget to join us tomorrow, June 12, a special Democracy Day program with me, Solomon Ofem, and two of my co-hosts, Esther Agwuagwu and Choma Innocent. We'll be here to talk governance, insecurity, politics. We're talking about the democratic history of Nigeria. We will be analyzing it. Of course, we have a top-notch analyst that will be here to bisect and dissect the June 12th Democracy Day with us. So join us tomorrow by 12 for that. It is time for us to go. I do sincerely again apologize. We started very, very late because we had some technical issues. We had to give space for our engineers to work on it for us to give you a smooth broadcast. So because of time, there was no time because of that, there was no time for us to open the phone lines for you to make your contributions. I'm seeing lots of messages here and phone calls coming in wanting very, very hard to make their contributions. Unfortunately, we could not do that. Again, we do sincerely apologize for that. It's Voice of the People, 90.3 FM, the station that gives voice of the people. I'm Solomon Ofem. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media handles at VOP903FM and subscribe to our YouTube channel at VOP903FM. I am Solomon Ofem. Follow me on IG at Solofem1, as in SOLOFEM figure 1, and on X at Solofem. I'm signing out now. I don't tire.